Hey, what's up, beautiful people? Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, however you are. I hope you're doing well out there, staying warm, staying safe. I know there's a lot going on in the world, especially with everything happening in LA. And I know there's more things going on across the planet. And it just sucks when you see stuff happening to so many people and there's not really much a lot of people can do about it, you know? The people that are suffering can't do too much about it. The people that are watching in silence can't really do much about it. And a lot of the authorities can't do too much about it either, you know? It's just like a manpower thing. But we're also like so disconnected, you know? Just, it kind of highlights how disconnected we are, because logistically, if you got 8 some odd billion people on the planet and a few thousand people are, you know, kind of going through pretty crazy situation, you know, it would just make sense that it would be easy to solve with when you have so many other people on the planet. But that's just not how things work. So my heart goes out to them, and our thoughts are out to all these people, and I hope that they get it readjusted, and for those that have lost things and loved ones, you know, we hope that all of this is somehow for a greater cause, somehow, somewhere, some way, right? Having that eye to be able to see. But there's definitely a transformation happening right now. That's for damn sure. A huge transformation. So let's pick up from where we were last time. We were talking about the veil, right? You're on a rail. And that was pretty much covering how we're disconnected from the cosmos, right? And how it's so easy for us to get caught up on this loop, you know, this cycle that we kind of have laid out for us by society. And this cycle is not really for our betterment, not really for our children to gain wealth. A lot of these cycles are really just to make other people more money at our own detriment, you know, over time. So that's the whole, you know, being on a rail side of that, right? Just the disconnect. And you can be on a rail your whole life, but you know, if you want to learn more about that, if you missed that, check that video out. But let's keep going because I don't want to hold you up. So this time we're going to kind of go a little bit further into that same thing. This isn't going to be a long video, but we'll be slightly just kind of giving you a little bit of tools and ways to kind of navigate keeping that connection with the cosmos alive a little bit more. You know, it's subtle. You know, it starts off a little bit, you know, just being a little consciously aware of it. And then, you know, gradually over time, you'll become more aware of it, you know what I mean? So it's not something where you got a life change and everything off of just one video, but it's something to kind of add a little bit to your day, right? A good way to get out of this separation, the state of separation, is understanding that your words create a separation between you and the things that we're talking about, right? Like the cosmic influences, right? Our cosmic origins that we have, right? The whole thing that I mentioned before, how we have all these infinite amounts of planets and stars and everything, and we're on just one of them. We're on one little star, one little speck, right? We're on one little planet. And when you look up into the sky at night, you see all these little stars and planets and everything. And we have that disconnect, and we're like, oh yeah, all that's happening outside of us. All that's all the way up there. You're like, there's not really a meaning to it. There's not really a purpose to it. It's just like a backdrop or like a background. And that's as far as most people are aware of it or conscious about it. But the crazy thing is that we are one of those specks that you see. We are one of those lights. And that's all this is, that when you're looking at it, when you're looking at the sun, it's all just the light, right? It's the solar energy, right? It's your solar energy. It's the same thing we have inside of us. We're all lights. Just light and darkness, right? Or light and sound, so to speak. So what I'm saying is, yeah, okay, we can just say it's light. Okay, well, what does that mean? What does that do for me? I'm still human. I still have a beating heart. I still got to make money and da-da-da. Okay, great. What I'm saying is, all these things that you're listing, yeah, these are all aspects of being a human and being in the third dimension. But all these things wouldn't be possible without this light, without the sun. You, yourself, inside of you, are a light. The side of you that I mentioned before, the one that travels through the different dreams, that is there as the 2-year-old, as the 10-year-old, as the 20-year-old, as the 30-year-old. This same you, it is a light. It is an energy source. You don't plug into a wall. You don't use batteries. You're on. You will stay on. You will be on until you die, until you leave your body, I should say. So you have been on. Just like the sun. The sun is on, right? The sun doesn't need a battery pack. We're not like, hey, y'all, we need to find a way to charge the sun. That's not how this works. It already is. That's the promise. That's life. That's the miracle. That's the raw, you know? It's here. It doesn't need an answer. It's here. It's now. It's alive. It's on. That's who you are. That's what we are. We're all tapped into that. And we're conscious because we're on. You know? We're conscious because we're here. We're alive. It already works. The promise is already going, right? God did. So what I'm saying, to keep yourself in the state of mind of this cosmic awareness and having this bigger picture mindset, or at least being able to tap into that and to go in that gear, because we all are human, right? We all have to be on the third. We all have things to do. We can't stay super minded all the time, you know, but this is to kind of help you have a little bit more of an anchor when it comes to that thing. So your words are a separating factor, right? And this is probably the key, the most important part of this whole thing. Your words, our words, my words, even using my words to describe this stuff to you, there's still an amount of separation that occurs between you hearing this video and me saying it, and then the truth that I'm trying to describe, right? My words and your interpretation of them and my interpretation of what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, what we're all experiencing, this is where the separation occurs, right? In our words, because our words carry with them ideas, right? The words carry with them memories that you apply to that word instead of just looking at what it is for what it is. So yes, I'm saying, if you look into the sky at night, you see the stars, you see the space. Even right now, looking at the sun, if I didn't call it the sun, or we didn't call it a star, or we didn't use English or a language to describe this thing, what would it be? What would it be? Without using words, what is it? Everything that I mentioned before about how we're connected to this source of energy, the source of power, the source of alignment, the source of raw power that doesn't need to be plugged in. Just like space, right? Space doesn't need to not be plugged in order for it to work. You know, space doesn't need a energy source. It just is. It is space. Life is life. Light. There is a light to it. There's a darkness. Whatever you want to call these things, darkness, light. We have to get out of our words. We have to get out of our words because our words can limit the way we look at things, because we can kind of put things in a container. Just like if you don't know somebody's name and you're talking to them, that's like the biggest thing to you. It's like, oh, what is their name? What is their name? And then when you get it, you're like, oh, okay, good. That's a relief, right? Like, or that might not be that's kind of a weak analogy. Maybe I'm trying to see, like, a lot of things would be more complicated if we didn't have words for them. And we use words to make things more applicable or accessible, right? Like a USB, for example. We all probably know what a USB is at this point, right? But it's a simple device that you connect from one computer to another computer. It's a universal serial bus, right? But calling it a USB makes things a lot simpler for us to understand, right? Because if we had to explain it the whole thing every time of what it does and why it does it, then that'd be a whole thing, right? So in a sense, it's kind of how we have with the SUN, right? It's so much more. We just called it that. It was already here before we started using words, before we came up with English. It'll be here after English is dead and gone. It'll be out here after we're all gone. So what I'm saying is we have to get out of our words. When we look at these things, when we look at what's happening around you, the water, these life sources, these life forces that keep us alive, yes, your words are good. It's a great way for us to share knowledge with one another. But when you're going internally and when you're connecting with these forces, we have to get out of our words, because then you will really understand the gravity, and have more gratitude for these energies and these forces that are happening around us that drive all of us. But as humans, of course, yeah, we know everything. We're the shit. Everything else kind of follows after us. We label everything. We name everything. Hey, it's an alien. Nope, that's an alien. So now that makes everything a lot simpler. We can just call aliens now. It's not as scary anymore, as opposed to being like, oh, like what is that? Like trying to come up with a real name for it. You know what I mean? Same thing with animals and shit. We look at animals and like, oh, that's a whale. And that can limit it, because it's like, okay, well, yeah, it is a whale, but that whale has a personality, that whale has a history, that whale has a lineage, that whale has a mind and thoughts and you know, feelings. But yeah, it is a whale, and there's a ton of whales. But when we label things, it's like we're taking away its whole identity in a sense, and exchanging it just for something that we can understand a little bit more. And we're not taking away its identity. That might be a little dramatic, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we're taking away we're not acknowledging everything that is in front of us, standing there. The sun, it's right there. Without words, what is it? What's going on? That's where we have to be when it comes to these things in the spiritual, and even looking at yourself too. Try to look into these things, even when you're in your heart and in your mind. Look into these things, but try not to use words when you're doing it, and you'll understand a little bit more about the connection, that divine feminine. And when we're not using words, and when you're looking at it and you're thinking about it, you know what you go to? You go to the relationship. Well, what is it in comparison to other things? What is it, and how does it affect other things? And how is it being affected by other things, right? These are the kind of things that go in your head as you're thinking about something without a word to it. If you're trying to not describe something, but if you're trying to understand something, right? And feel something, you're like, what is it? Well, it does this and it does that. So its connection to what's around it is the divine feminine aspect of it. It's purpose, right? It's purpose. So tap into it a little bit more, and you'll understand that there's a lot more intelligence to everything than what we give it credit for, or what we label them to be. So keep that in mind. I won't make this any longer. I think I made the point multiple times now. So y'all take care, stay warm, stay cozy, and stay safe, and keep I was gonna say keep going within or whatever, but y'all know what to do. I don't need to tell y'all to do anything. Y'all got it. All right, I'll see you around.